A warm welcome to all my lovely audience on Icy Tales today. My name is Hiba and I am your host for this interview session. Today we have with us a very interesting personality. She's the founder of a venture called Tender Wisdom. She's a Vedic astrology teacher and counselor, and she has a lot to offer us about yoga as well. To top it all up, she's also an empowerment and transformation coach, and I'm very excited to welcome Medha ma'am as our guest for today's session. Welcome, ma'am. How are you and how does it feel to be here?
Thank you so much. That's such a sweet welcome. I'm feeling very good. I'm so glad that we're speaking. And yeah, it's always so nice just to be sharing with the world what I do because it's such a unique thing. So I'm so happy that you got me here and just looking forward to our session today.
Yes, the excitement is same on both the sides. So
Yeah.
without holding up, I think we should get started. So let's just talk about your venture, Tender Wisdom. The name is very interesting. Tell us something about it and how the background was totally formed.
Okay, so Tender Wisdom actually was a name suggested to me by someone very
Oh,
close to me years ago. And it came out of as just a suggestion of if I were to ever start a company or if I were to ever have a brand of my own, what would it be called?
mhm.
And the person actually who suggested it, had a knack for suggesting names like these for people. So and they'd known me for such a long time that they just knew who I was. And I'm talking about I think a good 15 years ago, so I'm still pretty much a kid, I think, at that point in time, with no idea what business I was going to do anyway. So, but when they suggested this name, that I think the power of the name was so much that it just stuck with me, and I said, yes, this is actually who I am. And I think, I mean, I just said that maybe I was a kid back then, but the thing is, the essence of a person, the essence of a person just remains with that person from the very beginning. And I've seen this for myself, and I've seen this for a lot of people that I've known for a long time. The core. I think the soil that we're all made of, that kind of remains with us. So that tender wisdom that resonated at that point in time, I think still resonates with me, and I think will continue to resonate with me for years to come. I think because it's just so apt. I'm someone who's from the very beginning of my life, very soft-spoken.
Right.
But I always put my point forward in a very gentle but a wise manner. I'll try and I'll stay quiet, but when I have to say something, I will say, something that makes sense. So I think that quality from childhood, I think, is carried forward till now. And I feel like now I'm doing astrology consultations for people, which is all about, I think, the cosmic wisdom. It's really not my wisdom, it's just the wisdom that the cosmos gives us. So I think, again, said in a very soft spoken manner, very gently to people without scaring them, but just still being wise. I think this name kind of stayed with me and resonates with me more now than ever because of the work I do. So that's how Tender Wisdom really started. And yeah, this is where I am now today.
I could see the smile on your face when you were giving the entire answer, shows how attached you are to gender wisdom. So, very nice to see that bright smile on your face. Thank you very much for that. You spoke about astrology, so my next question is about that. What is it like to be a Vedic astrology teacher?
It's actually it's absolutely joyful because, like you just said, you can see the joy on my face. So I'm absolutely on a daily basis just so joyful, and I'm thrilled to be doing what I'm doing. And I think I'm extremely lucky and extremely privileged to be doing what I'm doing actually, because to be able to wake up every day and do something you absolutely adore is such a privilege in
Yeah.
today's time and age because of all the challenges that we all go through. So definitely this is my space of just feeling a lot of joy. That's for sure. But Vedic astrologer, I think it's still something that's catching on with the world. I know the world is actually inclined towards astrology in a very pop culture manner, right? We all know what sun sign we are. We all know what Mercury retrograde is now because of Instagram, thanks to Facebook and Twitter and all that. Everybody's put these pop culture words out there. But I think Vedic astrologer is something completely, I would say it's on a different planet altogether because Vedic astrology is a lot of maths to begin with. So no matter how pop culture-ish a Vedic astrologer can sound, it's actually at the end of the day, we're just doing a lot of numbers. So as glamorous as it may seem from the outside, I think it's a lot of hard work. It's actually on some days I feel that it's pretty gruesome on my energy levels also, because on a daily basis I'm speaking to people who have some issue or the other. You know, it's almost like being a therapist. So I mean, it is being a therapist really, you know, because this is what I do. I do healing, I do counseling, and you know, I'm also teaching the world what astrology is really about. And I have some courses being launched, you know, by next year, where I'm actually formally designing a course for people to learn Vedic astrology. So in all of this, I feel like while it may seem really fun and glamorous on the outside and say, you know, where I just have to say, oh, your Mercury is retrograde and you should do this. I think it's a really, really intense profession, because you're dealing with real people, their real lives, their highs and their lows, and it can really impact you a lot. As much as you are impacting other people, I feel I also get impacted by people a lot. And I think for me personally, it's been a really humbling journey being a Vedic astrologer. But the whole thing of being a Vedic astrologer, you know, the excitement and the joy comes with a lot of responsibility. So I will quote Spider-Man's movie here, that with great power comes great responsibility. So while astrology is not as much power, it's a lot of I feel it's a lot of intensity, and it's a lot of skill, of course, one, you know, that you develop with time, and that will give you power, of course, because you're good at something, you have the power of being the best at what you do. So with that comes a lot of responsibility. So yes, it's a lot of navigation through all of this. That's how it feels like being a Vedic astrologer. It's fun and it's joyful on one side, but it's also a lot of responsibility and intensity on the other side.
I like how you spoke about both the upsides and the downsides, and still you enjoy doing what you're doing. So, very, very nice to know that from your side. So, I'm sure my next question you will have a lot of insights on it, because your work still focuses on that. How important do you think meditation is in today's world?
Right. So meditation, I think I will tell you from personal perspective, really, because you know, it's like there's a medicine that you've had and I have not had. I can't really speak about the impact of it so much, right? So I have had a certain medication and I will say, oh, my head feels dizzy, or I'm not, you know, my stomach's not okay after that. So I think it'll be a more authentic perspective. So I will talk about my perspective on this. So I started meditation at a very early age. Also because I'm born into a family of, you know, it's a very spiritual family. So, you know, my entire family had people who were palmists and astrologers and Ayurvedic doctors, and I belong to that sort of a lineage. So I grew up in that environment. But of course, as a child, you don't connect with these things immediately as much in terms of technique or what is really happening. So, in spite of being, I would say, you know, growing up in that environment, I wasn't taught the technique as much, but I just knew about these things. Later on, it helped me, of course, figure out what is it that I'm, you know, I want to do and how I want to do it. So I did Vipassana. That's the first kind of meditation I really experienced and practiced and did. And over a period of time, of course, I became a Kriya Yoga initiate, so I got initiated into that. And for me, my own meditation journey has gone through its own highs and lows. So my belief system, from my experience about meditation, is, because I can't tell you what the books say, because they're already giving up their perspective. Other people are already talking about it. So my perspective in meditation is that it's just about collecting yourself. You know, that's the whole process of it. And you're collecting yourself in different spaces and different timelines, and really bringing all of yourself into this present moment. That really is meditation, you know, being a tool that allows you to be present here. Because you're not a saint, you're not a monk already who's experienced in meditation for the rest of their lives, you know, so far. And you're not sitting on a mountain and listening to this interview. So if there's anybody who's listening to this interview, they need to know that meditation is really, at this stage of our lives, where we're already involved in a 3D world, it's about collecting our scattered selves from different you know, memories, different experiences, different thought processes, and really you're bringing yourself back here in this present moment. Why is this important? It's absolutely important because this is all that you have. This moment is your absolute ultimate truth. So why you're doing meditation is actually, it has the answer of why it is so important. That you're bringing yourself here. You're really experiencing life in this moment completely and wholly. And that is what you're here to do. That is why you were born, to experience the glory of this universe.
Yep.
So meditation is absolutely important for you to actually feel alive and say, oh, I register this and I register that, and I, I'm present here for the people I love, for the work that I do, for everything that I want and need. So meditation is how your mind, body, soul really aligns in this moment. So absolutely important, because if you're not enjoying this moment and you're somewhere else, then the whole experience of this life will be lost. And that's why, people feel at 95 years of age or on their deathbed, and, that, oh, we've missed out on so much.
Yes,
you won't feel that way if you have aligned yourself to this moment.
Yes, I'm sure everyone watching this will get a lot of insights in meditation, because I truly know that I need to meditate now in order to live a good life in my old age. So thank you very much for sharing your thoughts on that. Let's move on to our next question. I saw on your Instagram you have posted so many knowledgeable reels, but one reel which caught my eye was something about karma. So what's your opinion on karma? Because a lot of people have different opinions on it.
Right. So, and quite rightly, I think everybody experiences these definitions through their experiences, right? Like I'm telling you about meditation from my experience, because what I've experienced is what I can share with you. And that, I think, is the most authentic perspective. So a lot of people actually share definitions of karma from where they're coming from, what their experiences are. And fair enough, I think all of those definitions can be correct. So not speaking in isolation, I'm not saying, oh, my definition is the correct one, but from my experience of especially working with the concept of karma, because astrology actually holds itself on the idea of reincarnation, that we have many lifetimes. And the fact that we have many lifetimes, we're also putting into action certain things that will have ripple effects over a period of time. And will this ripple effect stop in 2 days from now, in 10 years from now, or in this lifetime? The answer is no, because that's not how astrology really looks at it. So the whole concept of karma is coming from that. The fact that we do believe in reincarnation. So reincarnation becomes the basis of all these things. The fact that we have astrology, because astrology's base is reincarnation, one has to, it's not really about you have to believe in reincarnation to go for an astrology reading. That's not it. But astrology actually looks at everything with a very macro lens. It says it's not just about this one thing that is happening in isolation. It's not everything, because you're connected with everything. So karma comes in there saying that you are still, you're connected with everything that is out there. So if you think you're this one individual sitting in your house and doing what you're doing, and it will not have an effect on anything else, that's, you're completely misguided. You're in in relation to somebody else. It's your neighbor, it's your family member, it's your child. You're connected to all these things. Now, karma is basically that. How I sometimes define karma is that it's a Pandora's box, right? And it's closed. But every time you have a certain experience, it's happening at a frequency, and that frequency is what connects karma. Okay, so if I'm just going to give an example that if you've had a very intense sad emotion come up or a sad experience happen, that intensity has led you to a certain frequency. That frequency is almost like, think of it like a button. It's pressed a button in the universe, and that frequency has connected you to a different point in time of a different karma that was at the exact same frequency. So basically, it's like how in a few hundred years ago you would have people, connect, what would I say? Not actually, not a few hundred years ago. I mean, that's completely mistaken. In like world wars and all of that, you have these boxes where you would connect this wire to that call and then pick up this call and then connect that wire to another call and, connect the call to somebody else. It's almost like that. So you basically dialed a certain number. It's connected you to a certain caller, and now you're able to speak. So in a way, karma is a bit like that. It's connecting frequencies of the same intensity. And when you're experiencing something, sometimes what happens is that you firstly also experience emotions of such even emotions, too happy, too low. Sometimes when you meet someone and you feel like I recognize this person, it's that same intensity that's gotten triggered in time and space, and that's gotten connected. So in a way, what I mean by that Pandora's box is that constantly you're living your life in, in a certain place and in a certain space, and having emotions that are reaching a certain frequency that opens up and connects you to different frequencies of your own life. And that is karma connected. Another thing that karma can be is also the ripple effect, that somebody did something, which is a popular belief system, that, oh, I did something in the past life, maybe I slapped someone, and now this person is coming back and slapping me. I think that's a bit of, you're extrapolating things a little. It doesn't always have to be this way, but I think the etheric idea of it, it's not literally that, oh, I slapped someone and now somebody's slapping. That's, I think, a bit too, I would say, a very raw way of looking at karma. My definition of karma would be that you're connecting to certain frequencies of certain actions done in the past, and you're bringing about, the consequences of that now. You're bringing about connections to that now. That, I saw someone, I fell in love with them, and it feels like I felt that way before. But it's not that you probably felt that way before. You probably, that person, that soul could have incarnated as your child in a different lifetime. But it's the frequency of love that you connected with. That's the spark, and that you are now living out as a karmic result.
Right. So that was your opinion on karma. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts on that. Let's move on to our next question. Like I mentioned in your introduction, you are an empowerment and transformation coach. So I was very eager to know what does it feel like to be one? So share us something about it.
Like I told you right at the beginning, it's the work that I do is very intense. So it's a lot of hard work actually. It can seem very joyful, but empowering people actually is a lot of intense work, because I'm coming across people who are at a certain point in their lives where they're not sure about the direction they're going in. They're not sure about what they want to do, how they want to, approach life from where they are, or they're struggling with something in this present moment. Maybe loss of something, loss of career, family member, or even just self-esteem. That's a huge loss as well, or loss of health. These sort of things are very sensitive things. So when I'm, being that sort of a coach for them, my journey is equally intense, because for me, it's not about me really holding them and saying, okay, you need to come from point A to point B. The whole point is to actually sit with them where they are. I think the most amount of empowerment and healing actually happens when people feel seen. And, there's a wonderful author, actually. He says this line, Simon Sinek. He says this, I think in one of his interviews, he said that we have, in a bookstore, we have a huge section of a self-help, self-help book section. But we never really do have a section of help others. And that's so important, because as a society, we've never really been taught about how to help somebody who's just next to us, who's a family member, who's a friend, who's somebody else. We just don't. We can probably help ourselves with by saying, okay, wake up at 5 a.m. and do whatever. We have no clue on how to help others. We think charity can really help others. Maybe giving a suggestion, okay, go see a doctor can help others. But really, emotionally, how do you be, how can you be available for someone? And that is what I do as an empowerment coach. My training in all these years has been that, and of course, thanks to astrology, because that's been my base. So astrology allows me to look very deeply into the person, their psyche, on what their journey is like, and that's how I can really empower them, because I am able to see where they are right now. It doesn't matter where they want to be. It doesn't matter where they've come from. I can see that journey. But it's very important for also allow them to see that I am able to see where they are. When a person feels seen, it's already so empowering. Because if I go to someone, and if I go to a friend and say, I'm really sad, and the person's going to be like, okay, so tell me what you're sad about. Here, with an astrologer, the journey simplifies.
Yep.
You go to an astrologer, you put your horoscope in front, and the astrologer will tell you what is it that you're sad about. And that's such a comforting conversation, because when an astrologer is able to point out exactly what it is that you're feeling and how you're feeling and what you're going
Yep.
through, you suddenly feel so much comfort, because it's a complete stranger saying things to you that you're going through. So that effort of feeling helpless, that, oh, but I'm feeling sad because of this, and then this happened, that all of that is removed.
Yep.
And that that I think gives me an advantage as an empowerment coach, as a healer, because I'm able to just hit the nail on the head. And then after that, when a person really, finds that trust and says, okay, this person is seeing me. Now this person can definitely help me. And my work becomes easier.
Yes.
So I think the whole point of being an empowerment coach is figuring out at my end, how to sit with the person where
Yep.
they really are in this moment. And then the journey, I really do believe in the core intelligence of people. I know they already know who they are, where they want to be, where they want to go ahead with, what decisions they have to. I
Yes.
trust that innate intelligence in people, actually.
Yep.
So once they feel seen, they feel empowered.
Yep.
Then we slowly work on their self-esteem, and we slowly work on their issues, whatever their issues are, and guide them in the right direction. And after that, they automatically take on. They
Yes. Yes.
automatically, pick themselves up, and they're ready to go in the right direction. Because now they're suddenly not feeling lost. They're feeling seen. They're feeling more relevant in this world,
Correct.
because you get lost in things and feel like, oh, other things are more important. When you feel seen so powerfully, you realize that, wow, I'm important. I have a
Yep.
purpose, and that is very transformative. So that
Mhm.
is really my empowering part, where I come in and just sit with them. That's what I do.
Very, very beautiful job, I think I must say, because we really need people in our lives like that who bring us out of bad situations. So great that you're doing and impacting a lot of people's lives. Great job on that. So with that being said, we've now come to the last question. And so this question is very, very close to your heart, so you can be as open as possible. So I'm sure being in this field from a long time, you must have something which you admire the most. So if there's something that you love about your profession and you admire the most, please share it with us right now.
I think the one thing I really admire the most about this profession, and um, is the impact that it has had on me.
Right.
Um, and because I know I'm speaking to people on a daily basis, and of course they're being impacted by that session.
Yes.
Looking at your own horoscope can be extremely transformative as a process. Just
Mhm.
listening to a stranger say things about you, and you're resonating with everything that's being said. It's a very transformative
Yes.
process, and it's a very I think a humbling process for a lot of people, because they realize, okay, there is a cosmic power around. But I think my journey as an astrologer, that has been extremely transformative
Mhm.
because of astrology.
Yep.
And in what ways is that I come across people going through something or the other, right? There's some
Right.
issue or the other. And personally, no matter, I feel like whatever I go through, the highs and the lows,
Mhm.
I think this journey of mine as an astrologer has been a constant reminder that um, we're all beautifully connected, and we're all taken care of.
Yes.
And because I've seen such magical stories, I've
Yeah.
spoken to such magical people, and everybody I speak to, I have to say is magical. And the kind of clients that I've had so far, from all walks of life,
Yes.
whether they're really privileged, whether they're celebrities for the world, whether they're, in politics, whether they're industrial, it doesn't matter,
Right.
they all have some concerns. And my learning from all of this has been that we're taken care of. We're all beautifully connected. I've seen people in the same family carrying the same sort of karmic storyline. They all have the same karmic baggage. They're similar planetary settings, because they all have
Right.
to fulfill that one thing together.
Mhm.
That's why they're born in that house. Right? So after all of these stories, my learning in this life has been that it has to be a very spiritual life. You don't have a choice. It has to be a very simple, humble approach towards life. There is no other choice in this world. There's no other option. There's no other way. There's no other path, because no matter how much we are seeking our desires, one way or the other, the whole the whole journey comes about in a circle because the learning of it all is that uh, it's really your path and
Yes.
what you learn from it. How do you spiritualize yourself? How do you make the better choices where you realize that the material side of things are not what's going to bring you to your ultimate satisfaction. And in fact, Jim Carrey says this actually. He said this once in, I think, one of his interviews that he said that I wish that everybody gets money and fame in this world, and so much that they cannot fathom how much they've got, so that you realize that that's not the answer to happiness in your life. And I have seen this from experience, that no matter who it is, they're all still seeking something, and that seeking only ends when you're walking your spiritual path. And I'm not saying you need to be a monk, but it's about making simpler, softer, tender choices in life that are leading you on a spiritual path. I think that's been the most amazing part of my journey, because I didn't have to go through those sort of hardships. I didn't
Mm.
have to be an industrialist, or I didn't have to be someone going through all kinds of losses in life.
Right.
Like I said, I'm very privileged in so many ways. So I didn't have to learn it through that. I learned it through other people's experiences, because I ended up doing astrology, where I realized that my path has to be a more spiritual path, and I don't have a choice.
One thing I must mention, in this last 25 minutes that we've been discussing, I did get a lot of positive vibes from you. I don't know how, but I just got this positivity between us, which kept the conversation going. So I really wanted to point that out because it really did give me a lot more energy to get this done. So thank you very much, ma'am, for giving us your time and sharing your thoughts with us. I had a great time doing this with you.
Thank you, Vika. Likewise, and I'm so happy that we got to speak. I love the questions that you asked. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
All
Do
right.
take very good care of yourself.
Okay.